Welcome back to my Synthesizer Basics series. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, you can watch them before this, but part 3 sort of stands alone in terms of topics, so you can still watch this one and go back to 1 and 2 later as well. In the previous parts, the following topics have been covered, and now we're going to dive into sequencer. Many synthesizers have what's called a sequencer on board. With a sequencer, you can quickly arrange musical notes to what are called steps. Steps will typically be tied to some form of speed or tempo in beats per minute, which can be adjusted. Once notes are sequenced in a desired pattern, the pattern can be paired with drums as a start to your killer audio track. As demonstrated, using a sequencer can quickly simplify the music creation process. And most sequencers function very similarly, so once you learn how to use one of them, you'll have essentially grasped the basics of all of them. Arpeggiator. Similar to a sequencer, the arpeggiator allows a user to simplify the performance of complex note patterns. Its name comes from the word arpeggio, which, as one might expect after watching the previous 2 parts of this video, again comes from classical music. An arpeggio in classical music is when a chord is broken up into its basic constituent notes. Arpeggiators for synths, however, can utilize any notes, not just chords, and essentially quickly sequence them into specific patterns. Also like the sequencer, the speed of the arpeggiator can be adjusted. Keyboard/keybed. Many manufacturers offer the keyboard and desktop versions of their synthesizers. Playing a synth is often synonymously called triggering it. For desktop versions, notes can be played or triggered using some of the buttons or touch strips that are built into the unit. Or a keyboard can be connected to act as a controller via MIDI protocol. For keyboard versions, keyboard skills and experience can obviously be a big plus, but as we've seen so far in these videos, it is absolutely not a necessity and is something that can be developed over time just from enjoying playing and spending more time with a synth. Unique to some synthesizer keybeds is aftertouch, which is the ability to press down on a key further after the initial press in order to trigger some form of sound modulation for more expressive playing. Lastly, it is worth noting that keyboard synthesizers have keybeds that will be different in size and feel. Interface and form factor. As mentioned in the first video of this mini-series, these instruments can come in many forms. Whether as hardware with a keyboard, a more compact desktop unit, or even as software on your computer or other electronic devices. Aspects to think about here are the size of a synth, the layout of its knobs, buttons, sliders, and coders, how they all interact with each other, and how they will assist in a desired workflow towards shaping sounds and creating patterns. Since the interface and form factor together are one of the areas that sets apart different synths and plays a big role in determining whether a prospective synth user is inclined to purchase one, this will be discussed in a little more detail in the buyer's guide. This altogether concludes the episode on how synths work. If you have ideas for more music and synth education videos you would like to see, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.